Hello, the co-creative weavers. Yes, Erika Macy, also known as erikamazing.me, like the name of my website. I'm here for a video forecast for next week. We are already in calendar week 24, and tomorrow on Monday it's Pentecost. It's actually comes from Greek and it stands for the 50th day, and it's the 50th day after the resurrection of Jesus Christ that we then celebrate the ascension of the higher spirit, in connection to the higher spirit. And I like to do to weave in, since I always love to weave in different threads of the Oracle card, Pachamama, for next week. And I like to read it out, what it says. The essence of this card. Pachamama represents the unconditional love that the earth has for all her children, including the stones, the plants, the animals, and humans. She is the goddess of earth, also known as Gaia, who pervades all creation in our planet. Thanks to Pachamama, our timeless soul can experience life in a biological body. The joy and pain we taste during our brief time on earth are invitations to discover the boundless love of Pachamama. The invitation: you are a child of the earth. Now is the time to eat right, love right, and be joyous, regardless of the circumstances you may find yourself in. Be grateful for your life, your body, and all that nourishes you. Pachamama invites you to relish each breath, embrace your joy and your pain equally, and discover love through both. Let Pachamama know how much you appreciate all her blessings with an act of service, such as planting a tree, helping save an endangered species, or protecting the ocean. Her medicine: you still believe that you have been cast out of the Garden of Eden, that you are motherless and homeless. You suppose that you need to work very hard to survive or thrive. It is time to stop suffering. Let go of that old myth and realize you were given the garden to rejoice in and to become its steward. Your melancholy is really a longing to return to the heart of Pachamama. Listen deeply to the Mother who is always there for you. Walk in beauty, in honor all life. To me, Pachamama, since I'm coming from Central Asia, I'm originally from Kazakhstan, and I did a Siberian Shamanic education last year. This is Umai, and this is my painting of Umai, who sits at the heart fire, like the Wyrd here. And I always love to weave in sacred symbols. This is the symbol of from Kazakhstan's very known symbol. The spiral actually look, or like the heart here, those are actually ram horns. And since I'm also an Aries in Western astrology, I'm especially in love with these symbols. That's why I've woven them in her dress. This is the symbol of infinity. And a Wyrd stands like for the heart fire, or also for a womb where we get born from. She's also the guardian of the forest. Her totem is the deer. like the mother bear, and of course of all newborn creations, like us humans as well. So for me, Umai was very, very important on my healing journey with breast cancer, especially, where I discovered that I felt very disconnected, like and abandoned from the breast of the great mother who nourishes us all. It was an invitation for me to embrace the wound of have not been breastfed from my mother in Kazakhstan, which was communist. When I was born there, it was very common that mothers went back to work straight away after birth. So my mom was hardly present there for me and didn't breastfed me. And so when I was really talking to my demon of the tumor, this is what the messages I received: to remother myself, to nourish myself in form of giving this abundance of nature to myself now as a grown-up woman, and also coming back into my heart area, to incorporate this abandonment and malnourishment into love, into unconditional love of the heart. And I wrote a book about this healing journey of turning demons into diamonds. Here it is. This is also my cover page based on a painting of my illuminated heart. The more I loved my demons, the more they turned into diamonds. That's why you can see the diamonds and in the heart area. And I wrote a very beautiful poem here, which documents this arrival in our unconditional love of the heart, what Umai also stands for. And I've actually also got an online course in my Wyrding Way school, where there is also the shamanic journey to go into the underworld and then bring our hidden shadow parts, which I call the demons, to the light, into the love, into the loving heart of ourself, which is then the world of Umai. So you can check them out in my Wyrding Way school. And this poem is by Pema Chödrön. I find also brings this medicine of Pachamama or of Umai or of Gaia. Prajna Paramita points us to a vast warmth within us, where there is space for pain as well as for magnificence. She points us to the all-encompassing nature of the heart. Plant your roots in the heart. Water them, feed them until they are unshakable, unbreakable, until it is no longer possible for you to leave your heart, even for a moment. From the heart soul grow trust and courage, the ability to embrace paradox, and the liberation of forgiveness. Plant your roots in the heart and drink joy from it, from a well that never runs dry. Centered in the heart, you no longer worry about protecting it. Although it is a vast and space-like, you learn to know its emptiness to be full of warmth, strength and wisdom. And that is in fact the heart itself that protects us all. When you begin to touch your heart, or let your heart be touched, you begin to discover that it's bottomless, that it doesn't have any resolution, that this heart is huge, vast, and limitless. You begin to discover how much warmth and gentleness is there, as well as how much space. Pema Chödrön. And since weaving for me is intuitively weaving in those sacred symbols, like the Pachamama, this is the message that I get for us next week. To weave ourselves back into her abundance, and which we can feel by connecting with our heart, which is spaciousness and can embrace all, even our most challenging, painful experiences. Like for me, it was with the breast cancer. And weaving is also for me seeing the synchronicities, like this Beregini symbol, which is Slavic archetypal goddess energy. This is the eternal ruler. It's the very last symbols from 27 sacred goddess symbols in Slavic tradition. She's also in my soul tree horoscope, like that I have expressed through weaving those sacred symbols in my shamanic dress. And she like brings inner and outer abundance, because as the last goddess archetype, she has woven in and matured all the previous 26 stages from our journey of the soul that we have come here to complete. And in Slavic tradition, there are actually 7 main Bereginis, with 1 in the middle, and 3 in the roots and 3 in the branches. That's why it's called a soul tree horoscope reading. And if you're interested to discover those 7 main energies and archetypal powers that are weaving through you, and that you can consciously connect to receive guidance and wisdom throughout your life, then please get in touch with me. I'm now giving those in-depth, like 35 pages readings. And last but not least, the rune I've drawn for next week is Nauthiz, because similarly, like I wrote about in my first book, The Wyrding Way, we are woven into the universe by the 3 nones, which you can see here on my cover page. The none of the past, Wyrd, none of the present, Verdanti, and the none of the future, Skuld. In Norse mythology, those nones have woven the whole web that surrounds us. It's also called the Wyrd, but it's not a fixed concept of fate and destiny, but it is an invitation to co-creatively weave with the Wyrd. That's why the title of my book, The Wyrding Way, the mysterious art of weaving out your own destiny, invites us. The more consciously we see the signs and symbols, the synchronicities that constantly speak to us, also from the unseen world, like those archetypal goddess energies, or stones, like everything has got a soul in animistic tradition. The more we start to see with those multiple senses and eyes, the more we receive messages. That's why I love the runes, which are also said in the Norse tradition to have been carved from the word 3 Yggdrasil, but the 3 Norns. And Odin, he actually sacrificed himself by hanging himself for 9 nights and days from the world tree to receive this wisdom from the Norns. So this is a very profound way of receiving wisdom from many, many different threads which are constantly weaving through us. And for the next week, I've drawn a rune of Nauthiz, which is the rune of need fire. It also stands for the dark night of the souls of things which are sometimes perceived as the as they're hindering us, or they're blocks, like the dark night of the soul. It's not comfortable, but at the same time it invites us to dive deeply, because without feeling cold, we probably would have never invented this fire. That's why it's also known as a need fire, notice. And sometimes it also corresponds to the known skuld, which stands for the future. But we can only consciously create the future when we sometimes have to let go or cut off threads or blocks or limiting beliefs which no longer serve us. And then Nauthiz advises us to stop, to reconsider what do we no longer want to take with us to move forward into our life. Yeah, so that's also Nauthiz, Pachamama, and the Beregini of the eternal ruler for next week. So I'm sending you blessed Pentecost blessings, and may the Pachamama, eternal ruler, and the Nauthiz rule weave through us next week in the best possible way. Благодарю. In Russian it's many divine blessings. Bye bye for now.